Hello everybody, this is Teo Samarjia. In the debates about vegetarianism, veganism, and similar things, you will sooner or later run into somebody who is using the argument that perhaps it is not the meat that's causing cancer and heart attacks, but a lack of vegetables in the diet. And that the right thing to do is not to try to convince people to give up meat, but to convince them to eat more vegetables. Here I am going to explain why I think we can be pretty sure that argument is false. First, let's deal with heart disease. Now, I suppose that most of the people who are using that argument are operating under one common misconception about how vitamin K works. Very low levels of vitamin K, as I'm sure you know, massively increase the risk of a heart attack. And most of the people, including me once at a time, are assuming that is because vitamin K is necessary for the bone cells to extract calcium from the blood to be used in the bone tissues, so that higher levels of vitamin K mean less calcium in the blood, and therefore the cholesterol clogged onto your arteries is less likely to calcify. If one believes that, I can see how it seems vaguely plausible to them that as long as you take enough vitamin K, it does not matter how high your cholesterol is. However, that explanation is false. Like one person told me on an internet forum, a key to understanding nutritional science is assume that this supposed link between high calcium intake and heart attacks is not real. Because no credible mathematical model of physiology predicts it. Your blood always contains way more than enough calcium for cholesterol to calcify. Calcium is never the delimiting factor. The way vitamin K works to prevent heart attacks is that it is necessary for the production of the enzyme called matrix GLA protein, also known as MGP, which causes the cholesterol to decalcify. And of course, there is a limit to how much vitamin K actually affects the production of that enzyme. And that's why studies consistently show that vitamin K intake above around 30 micrograms per day is not correlated with lower risk of heart disease. That threshold is less than half of what an average person consumes per day. That's why telling people to eat more vegetables as a way of avoiding heart attacks is very unlikely to work. Now, as regards to cancer, which mechanism are people proposing when they are saying that? Which substance from vegetables is supposed to counteract the effects of heme iron from red meat in its production of the carcinogenous substances? Omega-6 acids appear to speed up that process, but no substance, as far as I'm aware of, appears to slow it down. So, in my experience, people who are saying that eating more vegetables, regardless of whether you eat meat, lowers your risk of colon cancer, cannot even point to a plausible physiological mechanism how that could work. That's why that statement is not trustworthy. So yeah, those statements seem to go wildly against mechanistic evidence. Mechanistic evidence appears to strongly suggest it's the meat that's the poison. And mechanistic evidence is really the only kind of evidence that matters here. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching.